Thank you, Mr. Garamendi. 5 minutes questions. Mr. Finstad.
Thank you, Chairman Walls and Ranking Member Garamendi. Thank you as well to our witnesses for testifying and being here today. So as we've heard already here today, the housing and infrastructure of our Defense Department facilities are critical to the national security of our great country. The installations are the facilities from which we project power. American strength can reach into all geographic regions and theaters of operation throughout the world. And just as important, this subcommittee must work to ensure that our military families have quality homes so that our service members are free to focus on lethality, execution of their lawful duties, and Mr. Chairman, to your point, maybe not as focused on fixing the HVAC systems. With the strategic importance of these issues clearly established, I want to ensure that we're considering the whole of the military. It appears that most of the statements presented here today are primarily focused on active components of our military. As a proud member serving southern Minnesota with the strong heritage in folks that have served in our National Guard, it's important to talk about the totality of our military. So this is important and significant portion of our military resides in that Reserve and National Guard component. Too often, Guard and Reserve equities are considered after the fact, and this has a detrimental impact on readiness. So my question is pretty simple and it's straightforward. We'll maybe start with Mr. Owens and see if we can get it answered there. The Reserve Centers, National Guard armories, and training installations primarily utilized by the Guard and Reserve, are they being properly considered in infrastructure investments? And if so, how?
Thank you for the question. In terms of what you mean by properly considered, like in relation to the rest of the things that we're dealing with?
Specifically, so we've heard already a lot about the housing. Really, just give me a flavor of what is being considered. How are we looking at the Guard, the Reserve, and the specifically armories in regards to the aging infrastructure and needs that we have out there?
I'd be more comfortable deferring to my service member colleagues.
Congressman, the Guard and the Reserves are a huge component of what we're doing, not just on barracks and facilities, but also just on way of life for Guards and Reserves. We want to make sure that we retain that incredibly important force. A good portion of our funding for barracks going forward in the next 5 years will go to Guard and Reserves. And I personally engage on MILCON projects for Guard and Reserves. I've been working very closely with the team in Massachusetts on a Cape Cod project, MILCON project right now. We're keenly aware of the importance, and we very much want to make sure they have the best of the best.
Our Navy Marine Corps reserves are using the same infrastructure, and so as we're considering where we are making investments, it is certainly integrated because of how integral it is to our training and all of the other elements that we've talked about with regard to readiness for the reserves.
Rep. Finstad, thank you for the comment and the question. And I'm heartened to hear your words on this topic because the Air National Guard base in Minneapolis is a place that I learned about air power, and it excited me about pursuing my career in the Air Force. And congratulations on selection on receiving new C-130J aircraft too. So I remain extremely connected to the Minnesota Guard and all they do for the nation. On your question, I just returned from attending Northern Edge, which is a large total force exercise that is conducting extremely important multi-domain training. Their facilities are facilities that are in my portfolio as well. And one of the most innovative points about it is they just broke ground on an all-new hangar. And the great thing about that, and the innovative piece about that, is that their hangar holds multiple weapon systems, not just one weapon system. It's a common hangar. So that was an innovation made by the Guard itself with help from state funding. So understanding how the Guard addresses infrastructure is something that the active duty can learn from, and I'm going to stay engaged on that subject, particularly when it comes to infrastructure. So you have my commitment that I'll continue in that journey.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I'll just close with this. The piece that resonates with me this morning is accountability. And after you had the opportunity to show us a few of these pictures and having the honor to travel around the country and see some of these facilities, I mean, we can do better. We must do better. It's not a partisan issue. This is an American issue. We owe it to our servicemen and women to do better.
Absolutely, and thank you for that, Mr. Finstad. And I agree. I can't imagine a hotel manager or a resort manager that wouldn't have lost their job if OSHA or anybody else inspected and found those kind of conditions. With that, let's go to